Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This presentation is titled Knowledge and Recognition of Tunisian Heritage Through the Design of a Housing Project and is presented to you by Mrs.Fatma Chabchoub and Dr. Donia Maalej, both lecturers in design at the Higher Institute of Arts and Crafts of Sfax. This project was inspired by the classification of the Tunisian island of Djerba as a World Cultural Inheritance, becoming the 9th Tunisian site to be classified in this program. Willing to file in that context, a project methodology topic was proposed to allow second-year interior design students to know their cultural heritage and to recognize it in order to valorize it in a housing project. To ensure a smooth project in the methodology workshop, we go by a framework fulfilling clear objectives. First, the documentation that provides a comprehensive reference with clear and concise information to guide the design. Second, the analysis of spaces to develop a critical perspective by analyzing an example to detect and assess the target function. Third, the synthesis and conceptualization to learn how to extract and use concepts of form and function to enhance the creative thinking. And finally, fourth, the practical and technical applications by integrating acquired skills to effectively materialize the design ideas. In order to raise the awareness of the younger generation about our Tunisian cultural heritage, we invited them to design a housing that will be in continuity with its historical surroundings. The work method being divided in two major parts, theoretical and practical, with an evaluation at the end of the semester. As a first step, students needed to go through the Tunisian already classified or on the waiting list sites, choosing one of those representing a cultural and architectural interest. After that, they have to study its cultural diversity components in attempt to reach a total understanding of the different characteristics and specific traits of the site and its builders by a thorough documentation. In step 2, every student has to analyze one of the well-preserved components of his chosen site, representative of its historic and cultural impact, relying on what he was able to glean from step 1 to assure his comprehension of the different elements necessary to the conceptualization. After that, the student has to develop a mind mapping synthesizing the cultural heritage of the site and to identify an inspiration or a concept that will represent a guiding line to his design. The last step counts a two-dimensional and three-dimensional approaches to effectively materialize the designing ideas. We'll see next some of the students' projects. Inspired by the Jewish temple of El Ghriba in Djerba, the student adopted the differentiation between public and sacred zones. She used the pre-existent pillars in the provided plan and added some more to recreate the rhythm of the temple's architecture. In the elevations and the colored perspective, we can make out arcs, pillars, ornamental details, and furniture designs inspired by the elements detected in the Jewish temple. The traditional family housing in Djerba is a big naturally fenced piece of land with outdoor and indoor distinct spaces. The student kept the idea of the special and functional organization of the whole property and translated it to an openness of some functions toward the outside while closing the private familiar zones to assure the intimacy. In the colored elevations, we can distinguish the arcs and the alcoves in addition to the natural materials and the white and blue coloring, all typical of the Djerbian architecture. The student chose the Roman theatre of Dugga due to its importance in the site and in ancient Roman culture. We can see the inspiration in the use of circular forms and the zoning of the projected plan. The stage is represented by the common areas, the backstage by the private areas, and the audience by the garage. The student used local materials focusing on those present in the Roman site. This student focused on the organization of the hundreds-years-old ponds in the oasis and the ancient intelligent irrigation system to bring the water of the springs into the house by a cold and a hot pool. He opened the house onto the oasis to valorize the relationship of the locals with the environment and used natural construction and carving materials to enhance it. We can distinguish the traditional architecture and ornamental vocabulary with the use of local and natural materials. The student tried to maintain the traditional organization of the region's housing while providing a contemporary touch with the water walls, the pools, and the patio with glass walls, assuring the transparency that opens the house to the exterior. The dwellings of the Tunisian south are dug into the ground or into the mountains. It was an old technique to remedy the strong heat of the day and the freezing cold of the night. The technique used depended on the site and its geological characteristics. The student inspired from the dug into the ground inhabitants to come up with the concept used in her designs. We can see the organic forms in the elevations that remind us of the dug house's interiors, but with a clear contemporary approach. This design project results were the discovery and comprehension of the Tunisian cultural heritage, the recognition of this heritage to create accurate and authentic contemporary projects, and the merging of the different graphic and technical skills acquired during the other subjects with the analyzing and reflection to present a finalized, concise design. Through understanding our cultural heritage, feeling the belonging to our history, and taking responsibility in preserving it, we aimed by the project-based methodology to smartly valorize it and adapt it to contemporary needs and aesthetics, in order to hopefully create a new generation of designers who are proud of their roots and able to use that heritage in an accurate and well-thought manner. Thank you for your attention.